Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra Unit 6.3 Notes Video number 2. Now, if you stumbled by this by mistake, please make sure that you watch video number 1 before we continue. Otherwise, this is going to make no sense at all. So, we are now on the backside where it is graphing. Graphing exponential growth and graphing exponential decay. So I'm going to show you 2 ways how to do this, once by hand and then once using your calculator for both of them. Okay, so remember that the general equation for exponential growth is y, well, exponential growth and decay, y equals a over b to the x power. But remember, for growth now, b, our middle number, has to be greater than 1. Okay, so is 5 greater than 1? Yes. Now, for your x values, when we're doing exponential growth or decay, we're always going to do the -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay, and now I'm just going to get out a separate sheet of paper off to the side. And this is where I'm going to start showing some of my work. So, we're saying for our first part that we're going to plug in -2. So I'm going to get a pen that works, and here we go. So we would say that y equals 5, and then I'm going to plug in -2. Well, we know how to solve this, because if our exponent's negative, drop it like it's hot. So this would be 5 squared on the bottom, and then on the top we would put a 1. And then 1 over 5 to the 25th, we would reduce that to say that is 1 over 25. And I could actually come over here and say 1/25th. But it might actually help you to know what the decimal is. And you would just take out your calculator, 1 divided by 25, and tell me what you get. Yeah, it equals 0.4. Now, some of you guys actually do have smart enough calculators where you can be super lazy and get it that way, and you can go math, enter, enter to get the fraction. But we just want to let you know that it is possible to do these by hand. Okay, our next one, y equals 5, and now we're going to plug in a -1. Once again, exponent 0, you drop it like it's hot. So we would get 1 over 5, and that's it. Okay, so 1/5, I'm going to write this was 0.04. 1/5, divide that out, you should get 0.2. All right, our next one, y equals 5 to the 0. Exponent 0, base turns into 1. Okay, 5 to the first, that's just 5. And then our last one, y equals 5 squared. 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, so it is possible to do this by hand. Now, if you have a calculator, once again, I'm just going to go into the y equals, and then we have y equals 5 raised to the x. And if I go to my table, there's 2, 1, 0, -1, -25. Okay, so I'm just going to move it so it's easier to see. And then you can see all of the answers, -2, 0.04, -1, 0.2. Okay, so if you've got the graphing calculator, that is a lot easier. All right, now that I know that, if you look at our table, here's our x and here's our y, you can notice that we don't go below 0. Exponential functions never go down there. And then I'm just going to graph. Now, you're not going to be able to graph all of these. I've got 0, 1, I can go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I cannot go to 225. And I can kind of assume where that next point is. And that's all I can do. But when I graph it, I want you to know that we never touch the y-axis or the x-axis. And it kind of makes a J shape. Okay, it's nice and curved. Okay, I'm going to do this again because I don't feel like mine was curved enough. All right, there are no jaggeds, there's no squiggly points. Okay, and remember that from left to right, growth is where it increases. Okay, so now let's talk about decay. Decay is where our number, our b, the middle number, is between 0 and 1. Okay, it's greater than 0, but it's less than 1. So we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to write the -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And I'm just going to come over here and we're going to do the same thing. So I got y equals, in parentheses, 1/2 to the -2nd. We would distribute the -2 to both numbers. And if our exponent's 0, I drop it like it's hot. Or sorry, if our exponent's negative, drop it like it's hot. If it's already on the bottom, bring it to the top. 2 squared is 4, and 1 squared is 1, which equals 4. Okay, so when it's negative, yes, it's a little bit more work, especially with the fraction. Okay, so we got 1/2 to the -1st. Once again, the first step would be to distribute that to both. So -1 and -1. Exponent's negative, drop it like it's hot. If it's already on the bottom, bring it to the top. And that is 2. If our exponent's 0, the base turns into 1. Okay, and same thing. Just distribute, and we get 1/2. And remember, when we've got a decimal, it might help if you know what that, or sorry, if you get a fraction, you might want to know what that fraction is as a decimal. Okay, the last one, y equals 1/2 to the 2nd. Once again, we have to distribute. So we get 1/2 and we get our new exponents of 2. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4. Okay, and 1/4 is 0.25. All right, so at -2, we are at +4. At -1, we are at 2. At 0, we're at 1. At 1, we're at 1/2. And you can see we're getting closer and closer and closer to 0, but we never quite get there, okay? So as I'm doing this, I'm nice and curved, and then I am never touching the x-axis. That's one of the main things that we look at, and we want to make sure that there's a curve. From left to right, I am falling, I am decreasing. So that is decay. All right. So what I can do is, oh, real quick, once again, I'm going to show you how to plug that one into your calculator. I'm at y equals, I would just write it exactly as you see it, 1/2 raised to the x. And I'm going to go to second graph to see my table. Okay, those were the same numbers we got. And then if we actually graph it, it's going to show you what it looks like. And if you see our line's getting very, very close, it looks like it's on top of it. That's because it's just so close that you can't tell. All right, so we've done those by hand. I'll do one more of each by hand. Okay, so number one, the first thing that I look at is that 1/2, because that 1/2 is going to tell me that it's decay. And then I plug in the -2, the -1, the 0, 1, and 2. I'm going to come off to the side over here. And I'm going to start plugging some of these points in. So I got y equals 4, 1/2 to the -2nd. Okay? Distribute. So -2, -2. If your exponent's negative, drop it like it's hot. If it's already on the bottom, bring it to the top. We're still multiplying that, okay? 4 squared is, or 2 squared is 4. 1 squared is 1, which is 4, and 4 times 4 gives us 16. Okay? And you would do that for each one of those. If I'm plugging into my calculator, I clear out this. I'm writing 4 times 1/2 raised to the x power. And if I go to my table right here, you can see -2, look, 16, that's what we got. We did it right. Okay? But then the other ones, we got 8, and we got 8. I think it was 4, and then 2 and 1. Okay? So doing decay, -2, I can't go to 16, -1, I can go to 8. At 0, I'm at 4. At 1, I'm at 2. And at 2, I'm at 1. And then as I graph that, I just get closer and closer to the x-axis. Okay? So -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Y equals 2 times 2 to the -2nd. I would distribute the 2 inside to -2. My exponent's negative, so I would drop it like it's hot, so that changes to 1/2 squared. And then I would have 2 times 1/4, and then I would have to figure out what 2 times 1/4 is. I'm just going to quit this. 2 times 1 ABC4, and I get 0.5. Okay? And if you want the fraction, know that that is 1/2 or 0.5. Okay? Otherwise, I'm going into y equals. I'm going to clear this out. I have 2 times 2 in parentheses raised to the x power. And then there we go, -2. Yeah, we got 0.5. -1, if you're doing it by hand, you should get 1. And then 2, 4, 8. Oh, sorry. 2, 4, 8. That number is greater than 0. So when it's greater than 0 or greater than 1, it is growth. At -2, I'm at 1/2. -1, I'm at 1. 0, I'm at 2. 1, I'm at 4. And 2, we're at 8. Okay, And then there we go. Make sure it's nice and smooth. You don't have to go as high as I go. And there we go. All right. Now, and once again, if you're putting it into your calculator, you can hit graph to see what it looks like to make sure that you did it correctly. Okay. All right, number 3. And number 4. Look at the B, look at that middle number, because that's going to tell you if it's growth or that one's going to be good. That one's decay. All right. So I want you to fill out both of those. See if you can do 3 and 4. Pause the video. Good luck. Okay, and there you go. Now, just remember you're not going to be able to graph all of your points, especially as you get closer to 0. Okay, so just do the best job that you can. Some of them will be easy, some of them it won't. Make sure your graphs are nice and smooth, and that growth is always increasing and decay is always decreasing. All right, well, that's it for Algebra Unit 6.3 Notes, video number 2. If you have any questions, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself. Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice signing off. Thanks for watching.